Well, it is that time. It's upon us, Jacob. It is the last show of 2025. Of course, this is the TriState Football Monday Night Rewind, and of course, as always, I am your host, Daniel Kuhn, along with my co-host Jacob Berkemeier, and we are back for the final time on this chilly December Monday night to talk. I usually say they talk all the high school football action, but I mean we're here to talk about two games, but we got something a little more fun for the last little latter half of the show that I'm
Yeah.
sure we will not get called out on social media and or to our faces, over the next 9 months, however long the off season is until we kick
Yeah.
off for 2026. But nonetheless, we are back. Jacob, I know you were doing the radio on Friday night, but we
Short.
both
It
were
was a
able,
short show.
yeah, we were
Yeah.
both able to catch through one way or the other, both the games from Thursday. And although, did you watch the game Thursday night?
I didn't have time on
Okay,
Thursday
so
night.
so I
No.
did I saw the game, so I can kind of speak on that a little bit. But I was also at the game on Friday night in Canton, which I know you watched on television from the radio
Hmm.
from the studio live from the studio. Jacob
Yes.
Berkemeier by himself, just a man in his burrito, as he so lovingly
Yes.
said to
I
me on.
did. I did send that picture. That was before Safwan and the NKU
Yeah,
girls got there. I was.
that
I was
that's
like feet up, my feet up, chilling, just relaxing. I had
I
the
was in
Knicks
the.
on my computer,
There you
X
go.
game on the TV. It was all good. So
I was in the press box at the Hall of Fame Stadium. I think it was catered at Olive Garden, which was pretty legit.
ooh, that is nice.
Yeah, and I got all the way to Canton on Friday, and I know this, and we're not sitting here supposed to be talking about our live stories to our viewers here, but I got all the way to Canton on Friday and realized I hadn't eaten anything all day, so that catered Olive Garden was really good.
Hit the spot.
Nonetheless, I guess it just kind of just segues it right into it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Jacob doesn't have this moniker, but our bosses need to stop sending me to state championship games because I'm 0 for 4 now. Obviously, both
Why do you
Anderson
think
and
I don't go?
yeah, no kidding, right?
I don't want that moniker.
Yeah, well, it's me now. I've never won a dang thing in my life, and it's bled over into my reporting as well. Both Anderson and Saint X came up short this past weekend in Canton. Anderson lost to Avon for the second straight year, and then Saint X lost to a very good Olentangy. I eventually
Yeah.
got to say it right over the weekend. I got it back on the bus. Olentangy Orange football team. It was nonetheless. I think it was good football all around from both games. It just we're going to talk about it, right? Um,
Yeah.
Jacob, I guess we'll just start. I guess we'll just start and go in chronological order for Thursday night first. You know, first things first. It's just a round of applause for everybody at the Anderson Raptors football program for the incredible run they've been on over the last handful of years. Two straight state championships appearances is not an easy feat. And of course, to do it undefeated going into both times is also definitely not an easy feat. But I think, from my perspective, and I think maybe I'll just throw my thoughts out there, and then Jacob's probably got the box score pulled up, so he'll be able to
I
hit us
do.
with the analytical hit us with the analytical thing instead of just listening to me yap about it. Obviously all year we watched Anderson and just how high flying that offense was, and it just felt like they were so hard to. They would feel like they were unstoppable in some aspects. They obviously backed it up with a really, really good defense. And I don't know, just from the start of the game on Friday night or Thursday, sorry, I'm going to get that mixed up a few times. Thursday night, it just felt like they were specifically in the trenches, just a little overmatched by the Avon Eagles. Felt like they were not able to create the protection they needed for Scalf to kind of spread the ball around at the clip he normally does. And then on defense, it just felt like the Eagles were able to run the ball a little more than I think Anderson would have liked. But I think the big turning point in this game came early. I don't remember if it was the first drive Anderson had or the second, but they went forward on fourth down, which they always do, right? And I was talking to Mike Dyer from WCPO on Friday night, and we were talking about it, and one of the biggest things about Anderson, right? Their offense is they're so aggressive and they go for it on almost every fourth down. But eventually that comes back to bite you. And unfortunately, bad snap over, I think it must have been Scalf's head. Over Scalf's head, gives the ball back to Avon. It was, I think, inside the red zone. So it just kind of started off on the wrong foot there. And it did feel like whoever got the first big play of that game was going to be the one that kind of controlled the rest of the contest. And unfortunately, it was Avon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think, during the regular season, I think that the not punting works.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I think as your competition increases, and I don't know if, not to take anything away from, their game plan and how
Mm-hmm.
they kind of approach things. But I mean, when you're playing a really good team and, like Avon beat them the year before in the state,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you don't want to give them easy chances to score where, sure, if you're on the 50 or the 40, go for it. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
in your own territory, like already backed up on the 20, sometimes you might just have to eat that possession and be like,
Yeah.
you know what, we got to punt the ball, guys, and play the field position battle. And, it's, they do it all the time. So it's who they are. It's how they're always going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But, especially when you're losing the trenches, you're losing the battle in the trenches. I mean, like you said, I do have the stats pulled up. I mean, Avon had 223 rushing yards. So
Mm-hmm.
not only are you losing the battle in the trenches, but you're losing the time of possession.
Mm-hmm.
So you give that easy first score up where they get the ball on the 20-yard line and punch it in real quick. It was like Anderson blinked and they were down 21-0 with 9 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, nobody's saying Anderson doesn't have the offense to be explosive and to get those points back.
You're
But the
playing catch
problem
up.
is, yeah, you're playing catch up and you can't really establish the run at that point. You're down 3
Mm-hmm.
scores already. They're already a pass heavy team. So then you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to throw the ball around. And I mean, they were able to get on the board with an Owen Scalf rushing touchdown from 1 yard out with 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. But then Avon just came back and scored with 2 minutes left to go up 27-7 at half. So then coming out of halftime, they're in the same spot. They scored on their first drive, and then Avon scored before the third quarter ended. But here's the thing. So Anderson scored in 3 minutes. It took Avon 8 minutes to score coming out of that
Mm-hmm.
second half. So, I mean, that's a back-breaking drive where it's like you cut it to 2 scores. If you can get a stop, get the ball back in that third quarter, score again, then you're going into the fourth quarter in a one-score game. You got a chance. Instead, it's that 8-minute back-breaking drive where you just can't get that third down stop. And I give credit to Anderson because they kept fighting the whole way. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
they
absolutely.
had another touchdown, and statistically, it doesn't look terrible. It's like Scalf had 377, 2 touchdowns, and a pick on 47 attempts. Tyson Weaver 11 for 125, touchdown. Cooper Kathman 7 for 114. Tegan Jalek 6 for 88. So it was like they were producing in the passing game. But, the problem is you just get too far behind the 8 ball. It's hard to kind of climb out of that hole. And it might be easier against a conference opponent that and it's a regular season game, which Anderson rarely ever gets into those,
Mm-hmm.
matchups and situations. So that's another thing, it's just tough. And because the ECC has 10 teams, it's not like you're a GCL school where you only have 3 conference matchups and then the rest of your schedule is non-conference, and
Mm-hmm.
X, Moeller, and Elder are all playing the St. Ed's, Ignatius, Louisville, St. X. Like they have the luxury. I don't know if you want to call it a luxury. You're playing really tough teams, but it does help you later in the
Yeah, I
season
mean,
where
def-
you've been in different situations, you've seen different things, and I think it's just back-to-back years where Anderson's just kind of been on cruise control till week 15, and then they get matched up, with a really good team. And you got to congratulate Avon. I mean, back-to-back state championships,
oh yeah.
and obviously it's all congratulations and, a super impressive season for Anderson. And I think, we talked about it last week a little bit. They have so many guys returning on that offense. I mean, the fact that they have Scalf, Jordan Davis, Weaver, Kathman, and Jalek all coming back next year, their offense is not going to lose a beat, and I'm sure they're going to be very motivated to get back to the mountaintop and eventually win it next year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now the defense will be what I'm curious about, because I don't think they have as many guys returning on defense as they do on offense.
There's some guys that are coming back that are definitely worth. I think Ace Alston's the big name there, right? He's a
Mm-hmm.
junior in that defensive backfield, so he'll be back. Obviously, losing players like Brady Kuhn and the kid who plays defensive line. I can't remember his name now. Pardon me for losing that from it slipping my mind, but I mean they've still got good players that will be coming back as well on defense. I'll say this: I think we talked about it, kind of previewing this game last week, and one of the things that I think we both said was, in order for Avon to win this game, they had to play the perfect anti-Anderson game, and they just did. I mean, they
Yeah.
ran the ball effectively, they controlled the clock, and then even, one of the big things about Anderson's defense all year this year is when they would stuff the run and force you into clear passing situations. Well, there were multiple possessions on Thursday where that happened, but Avon was able to pick it up anyways. I mean, there were multiple
Mm-hmm.
third and 10 plus down and distances for Avon that they picked up, and could not, Anderson just could not get their defense off the field. And then
Yeah.
at that point, keep in mind it's 20 degrees outside. Short of breath a little bit, right? It's hard as a defense to kind of continue to keep up that same level of aggression and same level of performance that they're accustomed to in that situation. So
Especially when you're on the field for that long too.
yes,
And then,
exactly.
Anderson, kind of just to touch on the punting again. So Avon was 5 for 11 on third downs, kind of to your point, getting some of those
Mm-hmm.
back-breaking conversions, 1 for 2 on fourth downs. Anderson, on the flip side, was 3 for 10 on third downs and 1 for 6 on their fourth downs.
Mm-hmm.
And they only had one punt all night. So, I mean, I get you get in some situations where you want to, go for it, but I just think, I don't know if that's something that they'll look into a little bit more, going into next season. Is it like, are they going to just stick to it where
Well,
they aren't going to punt? And, I respect it. I mean, I love aggressive football,
mm-hmm.
but, it's the last game of the year. So, you're kind of riding on that. And, you know, they also had 9 penalties for 65 yards. Avon played a
Mm-hmm.
really clean game, only 5 for 35. Blake Elder, their quarterback, 212 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, only 6
Yeah,
incompletions.
he
And
was
then,
very, very, very impressive.
so,
Um,
I mean, like I said, all props to Anderson. Amazing season. It just, I know both of us were texting a little bit like Friday night, and just, it just sucks when we report on this and pay attention to all this stuff throughout the year. And it's like, you kind of get it. We're in the same spot as last year, minus a few Kentucky teams, where it's like, all right, we got a GCL South school and we got Anderson going up to state. Let's see if they can get it done. And then it's just, back to back years. It doesn't happen.
and
So,
we'll get into it here now. I guess now we'll segue that. Last thing I'll say real quick is congratulations to Coach Dreyer and the Anderson Raptors for
mhm.
another incredible season. I'm certain they'll be back again next year, better than ever. Moving on, the Division One state championship game on Friday night. I was lucky enough to get up to Canton and cover that. I guess we'll just kind of start. I'll kind of mesh the two games we had together here a little bit, Jacob. So in 2024, Anderson lost to Avon on Thursday night. On 2020 in 2025, Anderson lost to Avon on Thursday night. In 2024, on Friday night, Moeller lost to Olentangy Liberty. In 2025, St. X lost to Olentangy Orange. So that's 2 straight years, Anderson 2 straight losses, and then in 2 straight losses for the GCL South to not the same school, but the schools that are, I think, 4 miles apart from each other.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of similarities there. But let's just be I'm going to be honest where I have to be, right? St. X just did not look like they had I don't want to say like they weren't, they shouldn't have been there, because they absolutely should have. I am not trying to disrespect Coach Specht and the Bombers at all. They had an incredible year, but it just felt like they were just a step behind. And that may just be because that Olentangy Orange team, holy moly,
They're
what
really good.
what
I
a good
mean,
football team.
they were a really good team.
Yep.
I was watching it in the studio, and you obviously were at the game. I
Hmm.
mean, and we got to talk about too. I mean, X's offense was so much more limited without
Hmm.
Fulmer too. I really do think they were missing him. And me and Safwan talked. It's like, does Fulmer make up 14 or 21 points for them? I
No.
don't think so. But what he does is he gives the defense another player to worry about and maybe opens up some other things. And I
Yes.
think I think it might have just taken the wind out of the sails for X a little bit, where it's like you're walking into that game knowing your best players out. So it's like, who's going to step up? And their defense, I really thought played great for most of that game, honestly. I mean, the first quarter, I'm sure you remember, they had two really big stops
They
after the
did.
offense. Like
Yes.
the offense came out and did pretty much nothing for X. And then the defense stepped up huge, got a goal line stand, and then I think got a fourth down stop as well.
The goal line
So,
stand was on fourth down. It was the very first
okay.
possession that
Yeah.
Olentangy had. They had it off of a Jake Fry. I'll never get
Yeah.
that right. It's week 15 or 16 or whatever we're doing
Yeah.
this now. I still don't think I've pronounced his name right once, so apologies. But he threw an interception early, and the X defense did a great job. They stood up and forced the turnover on downs. But the main thing I think for me, when we're talking about Vollmer and his absence, right? I mean, it's not even necessarily that it's the best player. He just adds such a different, a bigger envelope, like or sorry, not envelope, a different fold to that offense, right? Like a different
Mhm.
element to it that's not there when he's out. And
Right.
that's more or less because he's kind of, I think they list him as an athlete. And as they
Mhm.
should, he can throw, he can run, he can catch, right? He can do a little bit of everything for them. And it just, it was a very clear difference from him being in there and him not being. I thought Jake Britt, who was the starting running back at the beginning of the year, um, did had a valiant effort in terms of trying to make up for that absence. He did have a 39-yard touchdown to actually tie the game up
Yeah.
in the second.
Mhm.
So, but I think that we're going old school here because when you go to the state championship games, they give you and you're at the press box. They actually print out the stats for you. So I've still got the
That's pretty cool.
statistics from the game on Friday night, and I think there's no other way to kind of explain. I think the stark difference in this game than Olentangy Orange had 403 yards of offense. St. X had 192. And
Yeah.
listen, I think that the biggest key to that and on is well, Lucas Fickle for the Pioneers was their running back he was very good as well,
Yeah.
but the difference in this game was the passing game. I mean, I think X if they would have stayed in it could have had a little bit more found a little more success on the ground than they. It's kind of like
Mhm.
Anderson was, right? They kind of got down pretty quick. It was a two-score game, pretty
Yeah.
quick succession. So then you're in a position where it's like we got to pass the ball, right? So we got to throw the ball to get back in this game, and maybe they could have gotten a little bit more on the ground game drummed up if it was a close game. But it just felt like Levi Davis, the quarterback for Olentangy Orn, the Ohio University commit. Every time he let it loose, it was a guaranteed big play. He was spreading it all over
Yeah.
the field. He had 100. He only had 177 yards through the air, but he had eight. He completed 10 of 18 for two touchdowns. He also added on 96 yards on the ground and a touchdown there as well. So he just
Yeah.
was that dynamic player that was kind of I think missing from the X side of the ball. And even Coach Specht said it in his post game interview that Davis was one of the most fun and exciting players he's ever watched. Like had the pleasure of watching on film is in essence what he said. So it's like he's just that Davis just had such a he just it's hard for me to describe, but he just was so much the X factor in this game.
Yeah. Like the numbers don't pop out, but if you watch the game, you understood like why I'm pretty sure he's a Mr. Ohio football
He was a
candidate too,
finalist. He didn't win it, but
or
he was a
finalist.
finalist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you understand it. And like, honestly, I was watching him and I'm like, I'm shocked he's only going to Ohio. And I think he'll have a pretty good career at Ohio.
I
But
think the program in Athens is like, shh, stop.
yeah, yeah,
Right? We don't want anyone else
yeah.
to find
Cause,
out about
cause so
this
many
guy.
people, so many college coaches are listening to this
Yeah,
podcast
no
right
kidding,
here.
right? No
But,
kidding, right? Maybe somebody will clip it.
yeah, but no, I mean, it was just the poise he had to,
Mm-hmm.
knowing when to tuck it and run and
Mm-hmm.
just get the yardage and making those passes to taking care of the ball. I mean, they didn't turn it over against an X defense that has gotten momentum from forcing
Mm-hmm.
turnovers and making big plays. I mean, they just played, similar to Avon, just played a really clean game, dominated time of possession, and,
Mm-hmm.
dominated the run game. I mean, they had 230 yards rushing. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's almost the same story kind of for both games where it's, a little bit different. I don't think Anderson's offense was, as limited as X's offense was in this
Mm-hmm.
game. But also got to give credit to the Orange defense because,
They were very good
I
as
mean,
well.
dude, they were very fast and they were flying
Mm-hmm.
around and just, I mean, it's tough. I mean, Columbus getting Cincy's number for
2
2
years
years
in
in
a
a
row.
row, but
Mm-hmm.
you got to give credit to them. They got a pick too, which was pretty
Yes, they
big
actually had
because
they had two, but one of them got called back for a for the poor kid for Old Tansy. I don't know, remember who it was, but one quarterback, the ex receiver, like stopped on a dime for like a hitch route, and the poor Old Tansy or quarterback just had no chance of stopping, and he just ran right
yeah,
through him. Safety picked it off. It was pretty funny in the grand scheme of things,
yeah,
but no, listen. Let's just before so we can kind of keep moving here.
yeah,
Obviously, Saint X was an incredible season. I think I'm myself and is for sure was a little bit hesitant to kind of crown them as a state finalist competitor. It's even going into the playoffs, right? I mean, we thought at East would have
right.
a shot to upset them, but they had an incredible year. I think it speaks volumes to how good of a Coach Specht is, and what he gets out of his program each and every year. Shout outs to the Olentangy Orange program. They are the first undefeated 15-0 Division One state champion in Ohio since St. Ed's did it in 2010. So
Yeah,
that's a crazy stat. 15
for
years since
sure.
anybody went to 15-0 to win the Division One state championship. So they were just that good. And I think the biggest thing I took away from this at the end of the day was obviously being a kid who went to the GCL South School myself. It feels like those programs are always kind of lifted above, especially when they get into the playoffs. Like, man, you got to watch out for those. You know what I mean? Even St.
Hmm.
Ed's and Ignatius back in the day, not so much to this point in recent times, but
Hmm.
Ed's, Elder, X, and Moeller, I feel like those are the four teams everyone always talks about, right? And the North teams are catching up, man. They are. I
Yeah,
mean, they've taken care of business 2 years in a row. So
absolutely.
it'll
I
be
do have one more thing I want to mention. Just that Notre Dame and Michigan are both getting two really good players. Kobe Clapper had 15 total
yes,
tackles,
yes,
and Aiden Reeder had 12 total tackles in that game and a tackle for a loss. Those two guys were unbelievable all season for X.
hmm
And honestly, Connor Bearswell, too. He was very underrated, I feel like, all year. He's a senior as well, linebacker, finished the year with 96 total tackles, 49 solos. Like, he was everywhere that night too. That X defense was really, really impressive, talent wise, and just
yes.
results kind of throughout the year. So, just want to give credit to Coach Speck and his team. When some people might have been doubting them throughout the year, they
Hey,
turned it
man, you don't
on
have
and
to
made
call
it.
me out like that.
Hey, I was with you, so but yeah, I just wanted to give them their respect and their due. But I think with that, we can kind of move on to these little superlatives
Oh, you're gonna spoil it, Jacob.
that you created for us.
That's
Yeah,
what uh, Yeah, since this is the last show of the year, obviously we wanted to do a little something more on the fun side of things than we normally just sit here and talk about games and stats. I know that could be kind of boring sometimes, but we hope you enjoy listening to it.
Yeah.
But our treat to you is that we're going to do some season superlatives here for this past year. And me and Jacob are both we didn't write them down. We're kind of just going to be going off the dome
Yeah.
here, but I think we got enough ball knowledge to do this correctly. We're just gonna have I think it's about 5 different categories, and we're gonna talk about a little bit, who we think, what team, what player matches up to the superlative the best. And Jacob, I think I'll let you go first, man. I'll let you test this, be the guinea pig for this. Test it out. All right, Jacob, who was your most surprising team in the Tri-State this year, 2025? And then, of course, you can shout out some teams that maybe just missed the cut as well.
Yeah. So I will have to go with Middletown. I
Mm-hmm.
think Middletown's run making it to state semis, nobody had circled on their bingo card this year. They got unbelievable contributions from their defense. I mean, their offense was lacking all year. I mean, they only had a couple games where they scored over 30, and their defense
Mm-hmm.
just carried them all the way to that state semi game. And Kylie Jones has done a great job building that program. My honorable mentions, though, I will say, would be Taft, and then probably just Taft for now. I don't want to do too many, so do not take any teams from you. But Taft wasn't really on my radar kind of to start the year. And then it's
Mm-hmm.
like, then you start seeing all these scores flooded. And unfortunately, the box scores aren't really great sometimes to see what total stats were for the year. But I just know that they had, I mean, listen to the point differential, dude. 539 points for, 66 points against.
Mm.
And I mean, yes, they ended up losing to Indian Hill in the postseason, but I mean, just an absolute I mean, they had like 8 shutouts, 9 shutouts on the year. I mean, Taft was ridiculous all year, so they would be my honorable mention. But I got to go with Middletown.
All right. So Jacob just segued right into mine. Hey, thanks, man. So I think my most surprising team of 2025 would have to be the Braves of Indian Hill. I think we've talked a lot of we talked about ended up talking about them a lot over the course of the year. But I mean, raise your hand if you thought that Indian Hill was going to upset or upseat the Wyoming in that comp in the CHL
Yeah,
and kind of go on the run they did, right? Which included, of course, beating Taft in the regional finals to make it to the state semis. Now they did not, they ended up missing out on the state championship game. But what an incredible season for Coach John Rodenberg and the Indian Hill Braves. I think this was a program defining season for them. It's all led and it all kind of spearheaded by Devlin Daniel, who, luckily enough for Indian Hill fans, they get back again next year.
yeah,
I'm sure he'll be under center once again, kind of commanding that offense. And he also plays a little bit of defense as well. He's pretty good on that side too. So an incredible season for Indian Hill. I think they're absolutely deserving of the most surprising team this year, and I think I'll look for them to build off of this past season and look into next year. Finally, my honorable mention. This is a tough one because there's a lot of teams to pick from that I think are absolutely worthy of the moniker. But hold on a minute, I gotta pull something rabbit out of the hat here. I think, truthfully, let's talk about the Kentucky team really quickly. I mean, Lloyd Memorial, same situation as Indian Hill, didn't quite make it to that state championship game, but an undefeated season. Were a region, I don't know how they do it in Kentucky, but they were state
yeah,
semifinalists. I always called them a regional champion, but I'm not sure how that works. So
yeah,
we'll just say they were state semifinalists, an incredible year. They only gave up more than 25 points once this season, twice if you count the loss, but once in their 12-0 or 13-0 run there to the state finals, the state semifinals. They had some really big wins, including over Aiken from Cincinnati. They beat Newport Central Catholic, Connor. You can go down the list, right? The Juggernauts coach Kyle Niederman. Shout out to them. Are my runner up for most surprising team.
yeah.
Okay,
What was
round
that?
number two. I think we can probably. We don't even have to, Jacob. I don't know if we even have to go
There's not
back to
much
back.
discussion here. Anderson done. Next
Yes.
one. Yeah, it's Owen Scalf and that offense, man. I mean, they were unreal all year. And I mean, I know there were some other great offenses out there. Don't get me wrong, but man, just Anderson's been just on a tear. I mean, they'd win this award like every year. I mean, I think they would have even beat Moeller out last year with Ponatowski's crazy season. So I mean, Anderson's just got they have that explosive offense, man.
They do. They do. Absolutely. I think that's a good shout out. Um, I don't know. I don't know how who else we could even really kind of mention. I mean, Elder's offense was quite good this year. I think
They
that they'd
were.
be worth giving a mention to. Taft, of course.
Well, but then it's like you look at the points for, and I know sometimes you could say like GCL, like the schedule that they play is different, but like
Mm-hmm.
Anderson had 640 points
Mm-hmm.
for this year, and Elder had 368.
Mm.
So it's just another level of like dominance, honestly. And I mean,
Absolutely.
Taft is definitely a good honorable mention. They did have
Yeah.
539. Um, looking around, some other teams had Indian Hill had 542, but it's really just like Anderson's the only one in that 600 point range, and it's just they're just a really good offense. They know how to score the
Absolutely.
football.
Yeah. I think Taft would be a great second choice there. Um, and I think that concludes the superlative for most explosive offense. It'll be the shortest category of the night. Well, maybe not. This one, best lockdown defense this year, Jacob. Who would you give that to?
It's tough because there were so many really good defenses this
Mm-hmm.
year. I mean, it's like in just Division One, you have Elder, Saint X, Middletown, who all were unbelievable on defense, and even some of the school like Princeton was really solid on defense too. But then you got D2, you got like Anderson, then D4, like Taft only allowed 60 something points this year. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I will have to say, I think I'm gonna throw you a curveball here. I do think it
All right.
was I think it was Saint Xavier.
Okay. I don't think
Honestly,
I don't think that's necessarily a curveball. I think that that's a very solid choice. I mean, Kobe Clapper. Don't get me wrong. Kobe Clapper has a Jacob. I think you might agree with this. He has a stake to the last superlative of the category of the night. Right. I
mm-hmm.
think he's just that good,
Yeah,
and I think that that's a solid choice. I think that Saint X kind of that was their strength this year, right? I mean, they had such a great defense, and their defense showed up at the biggest moments of the year. I
it was
mean,
a huge reason why they won that Elder game. I mean,
yes,
they stepped up so big, getting the Clapper getting the pick and then blocking the punt, and then just kind of shutting down Elder's offense in the second half when it looked like Elder was going to kind of run away with that game. And I think it was kind of throughout the year they helped when there was some growing pains, at quarterback or kind of just on offense in general, like when they didn't have Vollmer starting for a while and
hmm
wasn't a lot of they weren't generating a lot of explosives on offense or big plays, and that defense really just held strong for them all year.
absolutely. I think that's a great choice. My choice, if I didn't have to pick Saint X, it's a tough one because I think Elder's defense absolutely is worthy of the honorable
Mm-hmm.
mention. So we'll give them one, but I think Anderson too. I mean, they obviously I think that the state championship probably similar to Saint X, right? The state title game didn't necessarily go I think the way that that defense wanted to, but I think it's absolutely worth that since Anderson defense was just so impressive all season, and it was just kind of
Yeah.
the unsung heroes of that team, right? Because everyone loves to talk about that high flying offense, but I mean, they only gave up 227 points for the entire season compared to 644, right?
Mm-hmm.
117 in the conference. And you talk about the statistics. I mean, if we look at the defensive leaders for this year in the ECC, Brady Kuhn, 125 tackles, only missed the top spot by two. He had the most sacks with 9.5. You could talk about Ace Alston, Mark Madden, Kimari Ty, just so many good solid players on the Anderson defense. I think they were They're my vote for best lockdown defense this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do want to just say, because there really were so many good defenses. Like,
Yeah,
honorable
absolutely.
mentions definitely go to Elder, Middletown, um, even Princeton, and then like Winton Woods only allowed 153 points all year. I mean,
Yep.
it's yeah. So there's definitely a lot of great defenses. I don't want to downplay any of that. But yeah, those are our two picks: Anderson and St. Xavier. So with that,
Shocker.
yeah,
This is the
and
hard.
that's yeah. This is a tough one right
This is the
here.
hard one. I think this is the hardest one out of all five. I guess I'll go first. I'll switch it up a little bit. And it's difficult, right? Because looking back on it, it doesn't feel like it this anymore. But in the moment, it definitely did feel like the biggest upset of the year. But and you can also argue that it kind of jump started their entire their run. I mean, Middletown taking down Princeton 14-6. You know, in middle of October, I think was probably at the time and probably still is the biggest upset of the year because I don't think anybody expected that going into it, right?
Yeah,
They held we kind of all figured or at least thought that Princeton was going to be the top dog in the GMC this year, and Middletown just kind of took that right from them. I mean, used
yeah,
solid performance by Julius Reed from a passing perspective, which is wasn't necessarily their strong suit this year. But I mean, defensively, they just shut down. They just shut down Zion Neal and Loris Barnes and everybody on that Vikings offense. So that would be my vote for upset of the year. Jacob, what about you?
I'm gonna go through and just say, I know it might sound weird, but um, Elder, and it's kind of, you could say either game, but back to back weeks beating X and Moeller,
Mm-hmm.
because, and mainly Moeller is what I would say, but both of those games, because I still think even earlier in the year when it was like week 5, like Elder's first 4 weeks, they played Mount Zion Prep, Maryland, which they beat, 34-0. Then beat Cubcast 28-20, so it wasn't like a blowout. Springboro 21-7, and then LaSalle 16-8, and then Louisville St. X 26-24. So it's like kind of going into those games, it's like they didn't really have like dominant win, and people still, I don't think, were looking at them as like how Elder at the end of the year was being looked at. And
Right.
the fact that they were able to win those two games, and I think specifically Moeller with, having Ponatowski and this explosive offense,
Mm-hmm.
them being able to kind of shut that down and win 24-16 to move on to 7-0 for the season. That's really kind of, I feel like, what vaulted them. They won GCL after that game and then went on to rattle off 5 more wins before they ended up losing to X in the postseason. But I mean, I really think that Moeller win kind of solidified them as being like the best team in the city and like a top
Mm-hmm.
3 team in the state going into the playoffs. So, and that was I think that was the game I missed because I got stung by a bee.
I forgot about that.
So I was supposed, we were both sick that week, but I was
Yes,
supposed
that's
to
right.
cover that game. And I was so mad. I was like, of course, because then I'm like looking at the score at the end of the game and I'm like, wow, Moeller lost to Elder. I was not
Yeah,
expecting that. So I mean, I think that would be my pick. And I know
I've
it
got
seems like an easy one right there,
I've
but
actually got one quick honorable mention for this, and it even could have been maybe my pick. I think that Middletown win over Princeton still was at the time the biggest upset of the year at that point. If you agree with me, you agree, but I don't.
yeah,
How about Newport taking out Holy Cross and Covington in the
yeah,
playoffs this year? Right, 18-3 final score. Holy Cross was undefeated. And listen,
mm,
Newport, I mean, they're a scrappy team, have been for a long time. They kind of, in terms of their normal play, the teams they normally play in their class, like Bellevue and stuff, they're kind of up and down usually every year. Newport Central Catholic as well. But man, they took care of business against a really good Holy Cross team, sent them on to, I think that was the third or fourth round of the playoffs, and did it convincingly, right? I mean, so just
yeah.
one of the quick shout out to the Newport Wildcats for that win as well, because that was a big upset.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to find anything from
Out.
Kentucky. I can't remember off the top of my head some of these Kentucky games
Kentucky,
from early in the
Kentucky was
season.
Kentucky was pretty straightforward this year. I feel like, and that's not a knock at all.
I just can't
Um,
remember if there was any early in the season, like a Ryle versus Cov. Because
w-
didn't Covcalf lose like 2 or 3 early, and
yes,
then kind of they
They lost to Ryle week 1, and then turned around and I think they lost to Elder. I
Elder?
know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um,
that was I mean, if we didn't do biggest turnaround this year, but I think Covcath would have absolutely been a part of that conversation.
mhm.
I mean, they definitely had an impressive season,
Yeah, I mean
to
they
say the
lost the
least.
first 2 weeks, and then Highlands and them's a pretty good game. I don't think you can call either of those an upset, like Highlands beating
Right.
them. But they rattled off a lot of wins after those first 2 losses. So
Absolutely.
I was just trying to be aware of some Kentucky football, since I know I don't really contribute a ton on that. I know you usually take care of that for me, but
No,
yeah.
I
So I
think that
guess
that's a good shout out there, Jacob. I think that was worthy. I'm not sure if it was an upset because Ryle was kind of viewed as being really
right,
good this year, but
like
it was still a really good game and a really good win
mhm.
for the Raiders because it was at Covcath.
Yeah.
So quick, actually, you know what? I'll do something quickly, just if we're on the Kentucky train. Um, why not, right?
Right.
It was a big win, I know, and I don't know how big of an upset it would have been at that point in time, but Cooper didn't have the. I know they went to the state finals in 24, but they had a big win over Ryle earlier this year, and I don't think a lot of people expected that at
Yeah.
that point in the season. So
Well,
we're
especially because that was what I was thinking of. Cooper got smoked 52-10
by
Anderson week
Anderson.
1,
Yeah,
and then lost to Highlands the next week 28-14. And
yeah,
then they're going in to play Ryle, and they
on
were
the
able to beat
road.
Ryle. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's a good shout out there as well.
Little honorable mention.
There you
Yeah.
go. All right, last
So,
category, the biggest one. Well, I guess
mhm.
that's not really the biggest one, but it's worth saving the best for last. Jacob and I are going to do our most valuable player. Jacob, do you want me to go first? Or do you want to go first?
I think I'll go first, I guess. But we talked about this a little bit. We talked
Yeah,
about this before the show a little bit, and it's so hard to put like a most valuable player tag when you have so many schools, so many players that are the most valuable to their team. But I'm gonna have to go with Owen Scalf just off of the sheer numbers.
there
Like
you go.
it
Is that
was,
I changed it? Is that better?
yeah, great player 2025. Yeah. Uh, I was wondering why I kept flipping back and forth,
It's
but
because there's a
just
timer on StreamYard now on the banners, and it's annoying. I have to turn it off, so I forgot to do that one. Anyways, keep talking.
so Scalf, just to kind of put it into perspective how crazy of a year he had. I mean, he had a 72% completion percentage on 564 attempts for
Yeah,
4,961 yards, 330 yards passing a game, 41 touchdowns, 10 picks, and then to top it off, 677 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns, and 5 fumbles. But I mean, it's like he was contributing almost 400 yards of offense himself every game, throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game. And the way Anderson's set up, like to me, when you're talking an MVP, like Anderson's offense can't operate without a really good quarterback, or at least a solid quarterback. And then
mm-hmm.
when you put an elite quarterback in that offense, it just elevates them to the level that they've been at these last few years, where it's like they are state contenders every year because they have such good quarterback play and a good wide
Mm-hmm.
receiver room. And then just kind of in comparison to, let me pull up Mr. Ponatowski's stats from last year, because he was, Mr. Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So Scalf threw for 800 more yards than Ponatowski did last year. Now, Ponatowski did have 15 more passing touchdowns, but he had
Mm-hmm.
only one rushing touchdown. So ends up being pretty even. And Ponatowski didn't have any rushing yards either. So, you're talking about how great of a season, Ponitowski had last year versus Scalf this year, and Scalf almost had a better year this year. Not taking anything away from Matt
I will
Ponitowski,
say
but
I think it was a snub that Scalf wasn't even in the conversation for the
yeah,
Mr. Ohio
I
Football
agree.
Award this year. I think, and listen, I don't think it's necessarily the case because I'm sure there's probably somebody on that list. Maybe the kid who even won it isn't a D1 school, but it just feels like, man, I know he's not at a D1 school, but come on, right?
Right.
Like you got to give him the nod. But
I
yeah,
mean, yeah, like
definitely.
at Kings, 413 yards, 7 passing touchdowns. Like that's probably the craziest game he had all year. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to just say that, but I'll kick it to you since we're already at 45.
Yeah,
And I really did like your pick too.
yeah.
So
It's a good thing we went a little bit longer tonight than maybe we thought, just because
mhm.
we're having a
It's
little
the
bit of
last
fun here
one.
at the end.
It's the
Yeah,
last
right.
one. Yeah.
It had a little bit of fun here at the end. The Great Player 2025 award. I guess that's what we'll call it from now on. Not MVP. We'll just call it Great Player 2025. Great Player 2026 next year. My pick for Great Player, or AKA my most valuable player this year. Of course, Scalp is, I think, the top choice. But how about Ryder Hooks, man? Senior running back from Lakota East. I mean, what an incredible year he had. And really, just I think if you look across the board throughout the entire city, I don't think anyone had a bigger impact on their offensive
No.
unit than he did. I mean, just listen to these stats. So we'll start with the season totals.
Yeah.
2,032 yards, 170 yards per game average. 9.2 yards per carry per game. He had a long of 93, so 93-yard run, 19 touchdowns. And then receiving, he had 400 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns there as well. I mean, and then let's just talk about some of these individual performances. I mean, if you take that Princeton game out, I mean, which I don't know if he got hurt or what was
Mhm.
going on in the Princeton game. I mean,
Yeah.
286 yards and 3 touchdowns against Centerville, 131 and a touchdown against Mason, 244 and 2 touchdowns against against Hamilton, 158 and well, he didn't have a touchdown that game. Oh yeah, receiving touchdown. Okay, 158 and 1 receiving touchdown against Fairfield. 321 yards and 4 touchdowns against Coleraine. I
Yeah.
mean, 209. This is the big one, right? I mean, East West, huge rivalry.
Right.
290 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns against Lakota West. I mean, and that's just offense. He played defense as well. He played
Yeah.
safety, I think. Didn't light up the boards number wise. I mean, he had 22 total or 37 total tackles, 3 for a loss, and then he had 1 fumble recovery and 3 interceptions, including and 2 of those were pick sixes.
But
Right. So
so I think the impact on defense, even though you might not have, you got to wonder, like he might not have necessarily been playing
every snap.
every
Right.
snap, but if you're
Yeah.
putting him in on passing downs and he forced 4 turnovers on the year for that
Hmm.
defense and 2 pick sixes. So it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, that's just an insane impact on both sides of the ball that he had. And I mean, I think he was a huge reason why East looked so good and kind of had us tricked a little bit going into the playoffs, where it's like,
Well,
you
that's
know,
not. Yes. Now Knutson, their quarterback, was also not a bad. He
no,
was
he was
pretty
good
decent
too.
this year
Yeah.
as well, right? So it wasn't all Ryder Hooks, but I mean, just what an incredible year for the senior. I think Ryder Hooks was overlooked a lot, especially just by maybe like recruiting or whatever, because of his size. He's a little bit
Yeah.
smaller, a little on the smaller size for like an every down back. But man, he was incredible this year. His stats back it up. He was great on defense. I know he's committed to play at Eastern Kentucky, so he's a colonel now. So good luck
Colonel.
to
Yeah.
him. Good luck to him in his future endeavors. I think he'll do great. But yeah, what an incredible season for him, and I think that he's a worthy recipient of that honor. Jacob, is there any honorable mentions you'd like to shout out for this? I think we kind of alluded to one already. I think Jacoby Clapper absolutely has to be in this conversation. I mean, just
Yeah.
for how much of a force he was on defense all year. Um, like we talked about earlier, despite the losing effort, still had over what was it, 15 tackles on last Friday night.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, Clapper was really good all year for them, and it's tough because they're like I said. I mean, it's like you go down. Every team has that one guy that you can point
Mm-hmm.
to. But I would have to say Middletown. Their linebacker. I'm pulling up the stats right now. Yeah. So C.J. Bryant for Middletown, their linebacker. I mean, he was, I think, their MVP because
Mm-hmm.
of how little that they could do on offense. The fact that he had 144 total tackles, fumble recovery, 3 picks, one for pick six. He'd be one of my honorable mentions. And then think I can't say it without Devlin Daniel too for
Sure. Yeah.
Indian Hill.
Absolutely.
Because, like we said, Indian Hill was an honorable mention or your most surprising team, and they're not there without Devlin Daniel at all.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
he would be my other honorable mention.
I think one last name to talk about, or just throw out there really quick, and Devlin Daniels a name, and Scalf, of course, will be names we bring up
Mm,
next year. Right. The amazing thing is a lot of these guys are all juniors still, so we're in
yeah,
for a treat. In for a treat next season. But
yeah,
one quick
absolutely.
less shout out, Montana Torbert from
Yeah.
Taft had an incredible season as well. He's just a true. I mean, he's a true dual threat, right? I mean, for that Senators
Hmm.
offense, he had 100, he had 1,700 passing yards and then 400 yards rushing this season. No interceptions passing, by the way, 27 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's pretty impressive, to say the
Yeah, that is
least.
super
So
expressive.
definitely shout out to, or give a quick shout out to Montana Torbert. I think he'll do great things next year for that Senators team.
Yeah.
All right,
Um, well,
does
with
any
that, I think we're
Yeah,
wrapping up now.
I usually put up for final scores, but that doesn't matter anymore. So obviously, I just wanted to take a quick. I'm sure Jacob and I will both agree on this. We want to thank everybody for their for taking their time every Monday night and 2 Tuesdays this year. So, but every week to listen to us and or watch us talk and yap about high school football for normally an hour. But we really do enjoy doing it, and we really enjoy talking about the sport and the kids and programs from around the city that absolutely deserve the recognition. We want to thank everybody for their continued support, and I'm sure we'll be back again doing this next year unless they decide we talk too much, which may be a realistic possibility. But
Yeah.
Jacob, of course, as always, it's great to do this with you each and every year we've done it.
Yeah.
If you want to check out any other Tri-State football content, you can check that out at TriStateFootball.com, that amazing new website we had this year. You can catch the replay of this show and all of our shows from the past, so the last 2 years. So that's every bit of 30 shows on all major podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you may consume those. And then you can check out all of our content on social media 24/7. I'm sure we'll have some great stuff coming up this off season to keep you your high school football media fix, your belly full on that one. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
convince them to let me do my favorite team names or something this offseason. I don't know. Nonetheless, of course, thank you everybody for listening and watching. We will be back. I'm hopefully, well, I can't confirm, but I'm sure we'll be back next year. Until then, and take care of yourselves, enjoy yourselves, and we will see you next year
Yeah.
in 2026.
Hopefully, you'll be seeing our beautiful faces.